Hi guys, it's Janek from Elympics, and in this video I'm going to show you how to properly handle player input in your Elympics projects. Sending and receiving input is implemented in the IInputHandler interface. The onInputForClient method runs once each tick and uses the InputWriter class to send the input to the server. You do that by using the InputWriter.write method. This method allows you to send the base types like integers, floats, strings, and bools, but if you want to send, for example, a vector 3, you will have to split it into 3 floats first. As the player, we only want to gather inputs from the client instance that we are controlled by. So we safeguard the input gathering section by checking if the instance we are running the script on is the same as the one for which the player object is predictable. The input for a specific tick can then be read in the Elympics update by using the ElympicsBehavior.tryGetInput method. As the first argument, it takes information about the player for which we are trying to get the input. Then we use the InputReader.read method to get the data we have previously collected. The data will be read in the first in, first out order, so make sure that you read your input in the same order that you have sent it in. There are a few things we want to look out for when handling our input. The first one is how and when we gather our input. OnInputForClient method runs at the beginning of the Elympics update loop. Elympics update and update run asynchronously. If you check the input inside of the OnInputForClient method, some methods like getButtonUp and getButtonDown will be very unreliable in the best case, and in the worst case won't work at all. It could also happen that when a player presses and releases a button really quickly, that action might go unnoticed. To avoid that, it's good practice to read the input inside of the update loop and then get the stored information inside of the Elympics update. When doing that, you have to take into consideration that few updates could run in between consecutive Elympics updates. If you simply overwrite your stored input in each frame, you might still lose some of the information. For example, in one frame, you'd tag that the button is pressed and set the input value to true, and in the next one, you see that the button is up, so you set it to false, thus forgetting that it was ever pressed to begin with. To avoid that, consider which inputs are prone to getting lost like that, and don't allow the neutral values to overwrite positive ones. Instead, whenever you read the input in the OnInputForClient, simply reset the stored information. Another thing that we have to take into consideration is that due to the nature of the internet, sometimes the inputs we send might just not reach the server. In those cases, it's important to understand the difference between empty input and absent input. Empty input is when we get an input filled with neutral values, while the absent input is input we didn't receive at all. If a player holds forward and we get empty input, it means that he wanted to stop. But if we don't receive any input at all, we shouldn't assume that. If we wrongly assume that the player wants to stop, each time we lose input, it will lead to small jitter in our movement. There are different, more or less complicated methods for predicting absent input. But for beginners, it's a good practice to simply use the last received input again, since no matter if we receive input or not, we should run all actions in this Elympics update that depend on it. That's it for this tutorial. We are almost at the end of our basics tutorial series. We've still got a few more episodes on the way, and in the meantime, we encourage you to visit our website at elympics.cc and to join our community Discord, links in the description below. Have a great day and thanks for watching!